Hi, Rachel. So I just have a few ideas for you, and as usual, I just give a few comments near the beginning, and I'd like you to go through and focus on a few of these things throughout the rest of the paper. I think that you did a good job of organizing your thoughts and your ideas, so your paper has great focus and great content as well. So the two bottom layers of the pyramid are completed. As well as the paragraph level organization. I thought you did a great job. There's one aspect of the sentence level organization, along with the paragraph, I guess, and the content combined together. Something that I feel is necessary is a need um, to I guess express a complete thought. So finish the ideas that you're trying to tell, and as well as explain specific definitions of words that perhaps would be different for individuals who might not know as much about this subject as we do. So you are writing to Brother Ostad, but how can you, I guess, adapt it or write it in a way where even he won't misunderstand what you're trying to say? Um, so what I mean by this is, um, first of all, starting with the thesis statement. Remember, a thesis statement gives your claim, tells what you are arguing and how you are going to argue it. So I'm not sure if this first sentence um, is your thesis statement or if the last one is, but I just wrote an example of the how that goes along with the what. I think that for this one, you do a good job of telling what you are claiming, but not how you're going to argue your paper. So I give an example here, and you do not have to use it. I'm just showing you something, a way to do it. So you go through and you give your main ideas of the paper. So after studying and restudying Aristotle, Tolstoy, and Greenberg's definition on what art is, I've come to realize that none of them are too broad or too limited, because all, and this is my part that I've added in, adding in the because part will change the thesis to not only be what you were claiming, but also the how. So always add in a because. Um, so too broad or too limited, because all art attempts to imitate nature in its own light, communicate ideas through shared experiences, and pushes the world towards a new ideal. Each one of them speaks truth with a capital T, and this is now going on to another comment that I have. Each of one of them speaks truth with a capital T about what art is. So what do you mean by they speak truth with a capital T? So maybe explaining this and giving an example or an example of how to finish your thought would be adding another sentence after this saying, in other words, all of these ideas contain portions of a complete and unchanging truth about what art means to society. By taking all of their portions of the truth, we can produce a definition of art that most can agree with. And then ending that paragraph. Through all of their definitions, we are able to get a real definition of art that most can agree with. So I love this because this combines together all of the principles that we've taught. The need to finish a thought is actually influenced by transitions, because you need to use a transition in order to complete a thought. I use the transition of saying, in other words. So what you're trying to do is explain further in that case. And so when you explain truth with a capital T, you're more able to accentuate what you mean. When you delve in deeper, get down to the deepest why. So I give you some examples here just to demonstrate a principle of first in your thesis statements, writing the because statement, writing what you're about to argue throughout the paper, the main claims along with your claim, as well as this idea of when you give an idea such as truth with a capital T, or when you bring about this new philosophy or this new idea that you're trying to argue, perhaps thinking to yourself, how uh, how could I explain this further to get down to the deepest why as to how this applies to my argument? So that's one thing that I would suggest that you can do is go through your paper, and for every single claim that you make, think to yourself, have I completed this thought to the the deepest extent that I can? Have I explained it in the most simple and deep way possible so that the reader understands exactly what I'm trying to say? And that's one thing that I would suggest. I do see that you did complete the transitions a lot better in this paper than usual. I would suggest that you review that transitions worksheet, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Um, but this first sentence of the next paragraph could use a transition. It could even begin like for example, Aristotle first claims that art. Oh, I guess yeah. For example, Aristotle first claims that art is an imitation of nature. And so then you can go on and through each sentence, link it to the sentence before it through transitions, and it allows a greater flow. But this, you'll find that the transitions will actually help you to formulate a greater argument, because then you can understand whether or not a piece of evidence that you're using actually does link up with what you're trying to say. And not only that, you can explain deeper and more fully what you're trying to communicate. So down here, concluding paragraph is a restatement of your thesis statement and a summary of what you've gone over through the paper. So I thought you did a pretty good job of this, but maybe you could look at that a little bit further. So as I may have mentioned earlier, the reason why I do not give very many specifics to the paper so that you can learn to look and analyze your paper based on these specific principles. Because after this class, you won't be able to have me as a writing fellow look over your paper every single time. So a lot of times, looking over your own paper, as well as even sending it to somebody else to look over as well. But even then, sometimes when you send it to another person, they don't give you writing ideas; they give you content ideas. So those types of things are necessary for yourself when you're trying to learn how to write. Is recognize these things within your own paper. So I think you did a great job, Rachel, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday.